Hi, my name is Jason Phillips, and I am a student at the Guildhall SMU, cohort 15, and I will be presenting tutorial number 4 in the Sounds in UDK tutorial videos. We are using the December 2010 version of UDK, and I'll pick up where Jason Orsatti left off with sound cues. But first, as you can see, I got rid of the sounds that Jason had put into the map, so we can just start new here. And first we're going to look up the stereo wind01 file that we're using. And we're going to create a copy of it so we can save it to the package that we have for our map. So you find the package for your map, and then for the group we're going to continue to put it in test, and we're just going to change the name and add JP after that and hit OK. And as we see, the stereo window 1 is in there, and if we double click it plays it, but let's stop that. But let's continue with the sound cue. Sound cue is basically a container that holds a number of sound node waves along with sound editing technology. So to create a new one, all we do is right click on that gray screen and we go down to sound, new sound cue. Click that, and since we're already in our package, the information comes up. We have the JOJP base package group test, and we're going to name this the wind cue and hit OK. As you can see, a new window has popped up. It's titled the Sound Cue Editor. This is very similar to Kismet and the other visual editors that UDK offers. But right now we have nothing in here to work with. So step number 1 is going to be to put that stereo window 1 sound node wave file in there. So all we do is go to the content browser, make sure that is selected, go back to our sound cue editor, right click, and there is sound node wave stereo wind 01, and we select that and it has popped into the editor. And if we connect this first little node to the speaker and hit this play sound cue button, you hear that it plays the sound cue. Fantastic. But that really isn't any different than what we did before. What this editor allows us to do is add a variety of sound editing nodes to the sound that we have to alter it in a more customizable way than we were able to do before. So the first thing we're going to want to do is add a looping sound mode, so this sound node wave will continually loop the entire time. Drag that over there and connect the first node from stereo over to looping, and then looping into the speaker, and that will create a continuously looping sound as long as this loop indefinitely checkbox is checked. Okay, the other thing we want to add to this sound is attenuation. This is going to provide our sound with a 3D space that it can use. Like, it'll give it a radius where if the player approaches the sound in the editor, it's going to get louder, and the further away from the sound he is, it's going to be softer. So let's stop this and drag him over here. Let's get these guys out of the way first. Drag you here. Attach this guy there. This guy over here. And now we have the basic sound cue set up. Attenuation, if you look in the settings for that, you'll see that attenuate is checked as long as spatialize. That's checked as well. Both of these will allow it to have that 3D effect. Spatialize will let you actually give it that stereo sound, so it'll go from like the left speaker to the right speaker depending on if the player character is leaning towards the left or the right. But the big things that we want to look at down here is the radius min and radius max. we're going to change the radius min to about 2000 because this is going to be our main ambient sound in the level. So we want that to basically the inner radius to cover the entire level, so the loud sound is going to be playing pretty much wherever the player goes. So we changed that. And is there anything else? The low pass filter down here, which adds a muffled sound, which Jason briefly explained earlier, but we're not going to mess with that here quite yet because we don't want this to be muffled while the player is outside. So let's move this, just organize that a little bit, and we can drag this sound cue into the sound editor. And if we exit out of the content browser and take a look, we will see up in this top left window that this sound cue has the 2 radius circles, and that inner radius does cover most of the level. It will serve its purpose. One quick note with sound cues, you do want, if you're making an ambient noise, you do want to change its class, the sound class master here, to an ambient class, because once we go into setting up the ambient zones, if it's not an ambient class, it will not work, which I'll go into later, but we'll just take care of that now so we don't forget to do it. Okay, so that is a basic wind, and I'm not really satisfied with just the wind playing, so we're going to add a little spice to that. If we go back into our assets and look up thunder, we can find a couple of thunder sounds. So we're going to snag this guy right here, put him into our base test group. I'm just going to name that JP, click OK. We're also going to go back to all assets, thunder, and we're going to grab one more, the Thundersoft 01. And we're going to create a copy of that and put that into our base class. And test group, and we're going to add, just change name just slightly. Okay, so now we have these two new sound waves that we need to get into the sound editor. Just like how we got stereo window 1, we just want these 2 selected. And if you right click on the sound cue, in this menu you can find edit using the sound cue editor. That will bring back up the sound editor. So we want that open, and then we want to go and select these 2 sound node waves. Click here, and we're going to select, well, we could do one of 2 things. We can select the first option, which will just put both of those sound node waves into the editor, or we could click this second one, which will put both of them in, but attach it to a random, as you can see, which is actually kind of useful for what we have to do, since we want to randomize these 2 sounds. Okay, and as you can see, here are 2 sound node waves attached to a random, and in the random options, it gives you a couple of options here where you can basically prioritize like if one sound had more weight than the other, but in this one it doesn't really matter, so we're going to leave that at default set. Next thing we are going to add is a delay, because right now those 2 sounds are just going to play at random. So I'm going to attach it to a delay and get to the rest of creating this sound cue in the next tutorial video. So I hope to see you all soon.